going to do is our royal icing transfers. And here I am using piping consistency icing. And I've just taken a parchment square and put it on top of the download that I printed off on my computer. And I'm using a very small opening to my bag. You could also use a tip number 1.5, which works great for letters. And the consistency that I'm using is it's a piping consistency, but it's a little bit looser. It's maybe more of a 20-second consistency. And the reason that is I want it to hold its shape, but I also want to be able to fill in the letters. Now, you can use a piping consistency for the outline, and you can fill in with a flooding consistency. But if it's too loose, this is such a small area, you might have cratering. So when I'm doing letters, I really try and use one consistency. Now that doesn't always work because, sometimes I forget and I make two consistencies. But it really works the best if you have about a 20-second consistency. You just don't want it to be at all runny because you don't want these letters to lose their shape. That is the biggest key when doing royal icing transfers, is to make sure that the consistency is such that you can pipe and flood, or I'm sorry, you can pipe and flood, and your letters are not going to spread. Now let's go ahead and do our cute plaque cookie. Now this shape can be used for absolutely anything. But I'm first going to flood it with white piping icing. And then I'm going to allow it to dry completely overnight. When I am doing airbrushing, I like to make sure that my cookie is really, really good and dry. Again, you'll notice I'm holding the bag about 1/4 of an inch above the cookie. And then next, I'm going to take my white icing and I'm just going to flood, starting from the edges and going into the center. Now my cookie's dry and I'm using my stencil holder and I'm using my Screen Genie on top. And I'm going to show you the difference of using the screen and not using the screen. It makes a big difference. So first I have the screen on and I'm just laying it on top of my cookie. This is why you want to make sure that your cookie is completely dry. I am taking red airbrush color. You can use any airbrush color. And I like to spray it first on the towel. And then I'm going to lightly spray the cookie. And I lightly spray it. And then I can go over it a couple times with a very, very light hand. I think that this is Chef Master airbrush color. Now, because I use that screen, it's a silk screen, When I lift it up, you're going to see super crisp edges. You see there's no overflow. You could use this cookie for the 4th of July or for Memorial Day, so many different things. Or this stencil rather. Now, here I am. I'm going to stencil it, but I am not using the silk screen. And I'm doing it the exact same way. I'm just going over it with, the a couple different passes. I have the same amount of pressure. Really no difference in what I'm doing. Then I'm going to lift it up and doesn't look good. Do you see how it has that bleed around the edges? So the moral of the story is get the silk screen. It will make your airbrushing so much better. Look at the difference. Silk screen is a game changer. Next, I'm going to just take the letters that we created, the Royal Icing Transfers, and I'm going to plop them right on top. You could also write on this cookie, "You are a super dad," or a name. But I love Royal Icing Transfers. So that's what we're using. Again, I'm going to add piping icing to the back. Put the middle one down first. And then the ones on either side. And then this cookie is done.